Hi everyone. Thank you so much for checking out another video here on Show Style and Spirit. I am Ebony, of course. I don't know if anyone is out there watching live with me. You may have seen that I originally scheduled this for 6:30 p.m. just 35 minutes ago. I do apologize. I thought I had to work today and I work from home and I logged in and I was off today. So I actually worked out, then I went and visited my godparents, and then I came home in time to do this live. So I'd already set it up. So let's jump right in. So before I show the reunion clip, which is really deep, I did want to read this post from Miss Ariane that she posted on her Instagram. So I'll read it and then give my commentary. So Ariane writes, "No, I will never be on Love and Marriage Huntsville, nor will my son. They've asked numerous times for him. The fuck? Carlos was just in Huntsville meeting with the cast yesterday. I was brought up. He said I was too disrespectful, laughing my ass off. This tickled me. Your show discussed me for 2 years before I even said anything. I don't owe y'all shit, and I'm not kissing y'all ass. Oprah, your network is on some BS, lying on people for fake storylines. They told me never bring her up, LOL. The lies y'all told, the contract y'all finessed me into signing, I hate that for me. These people are delusional. And y'all lied and still lying, making fake stories up for views. Y'all can keep watching that clown shit they playing, y'all. It's reality TV. They will never tell the truth, only what sells the whole cast. Films going along to make money. It's an easy job and they want fame from little old Huntsville. But nobody was that girl enough to use someone to be relevant. Never had it alone. Let's be clear. If you know you that girl, why hate on the next? You're intimidated." Okay, so we all know that Ariane will rant and rave on social media when she gets frustrated. So there's definitely a few things that I see here. Number one, obviously, the only cast member who obviously talks to Ariane is Martel. So Martel obviously let her know, oh yeah, Carlos said you're disrespectful and you'll never be on the show. So she's annoyed and pissed off about that. And then she's annoyed that producers would rather see Baby Knox than Ariane. So before we were always thinking that it was just Melody. Initially, we were all told that it was just Melody who refused to have the mistress on the show. And I totally understood that. Why give the mistress who broke up your marriage, contributed to your pain, why give her a paycheck and some notoriety on the show? I totally understood. And then we later learned that the cast agreed that they would not film with the side chick. Okay, good. They have some morals about them as well. Now we're seeing through this post, according to Ariane, that she was finessed into signing a document that states that she wouldn't film, or, she basically would not be on the show, but perhaps they get to discuss her is my thing. Because, I mean, why sign a document saying that you're not going to be on the show? They just wouldn't make a deal with you, right? So my whole thing is, I'm guessing she signed something saying that she won't sue, or she understands that she will be discussed because this is a reality TV show. Now, one thing that I will say is that the show is so far removed from Ariane that I think she's having the breakthrough that with each season, she becomes less and less of a character or a storyline. Because at this point, Melanie and Martel are divorced. It's final. He's dating other people. We've seen him hang out with Sheree. Even if that was a fake relationship, Ariane knows that he's putting that out there totally to get us to think that he is separating himself from Ariane and they are strictly co-parenting. So Ariane must sit in her house and stew over this, and then she gets all these breakthroughs, right? That with each season, she becomes less and less relevant, and it is driving her nuts. And then she's trying to trick all of us into thinking that it's all a lie, the whole show is a lie. You know, that's what she said in the third column there. But we're all much smarter than that. Then she shades Huntsville. You know, they want fame from little old Huntsville. Well, you know what? That show, it's been successful for 5 seasons now, Ariane. So the size of the city has little to do with it. In fact, I think that because Huntsville is a smaller city, it actually adds more character because we learned season 1 that NASA is there. And of course, it has like a large population of Black engineers in Huntsville because of NASA, and it's just a few hours from Atlanta. I think that gives it more character, that it's not like this huge city. But in any event, Ariane, obviously the viewers are sold on Love and Marriage Huntsville at this point. So I just find her to be very interesting and her rage. But she obviously sits and stews, and then when things come to pass, she just goes off. And her tagging Oprah is so ghetto and ridiculous and laughable. Ariane, I know that you feel bold, and I mean, we've all tagged celebrities on Instagram. That's what's so cool about social media, how you can connect with people that you are a fan of. But honey, Oprah is a billionaire, I believe at this point, a few times over. And she really doesn't care. Even people say she sold the network. Even if she still owned it, she would not care, especially once she reads this post and all of its grammatical errors. And she calls Carlos King and says, who the hell is an Ariane? And he says, oh, that's the mistress of your #1 show, Love and Marriage Huntsville, the wife. She's not going to care, darling. I'm so sorry. So all of these breakthroughs and thoughts that she's having, she really needs to try and channel them some other way, because tagging Oprah and going off on Instagram isn't going to change the situation. But I am very fascinated by the fact that she signed a document. So it must mean that she won't sue, or she understands that people will discuss her, but she still ain't shit, basically. Okay, so let's get into the reunion clip. I am going to share my screen. And let's just pray that I do not get any sort of strikes or get in any sort of trouble for sharing this clip. Other people have shared it. So let's just hope that it's all good. So let's get right down to it.
It was asked if she would be willing to come on the girls' trip. And she was going to tell Letitia, hey, I didn't know he was married. This was years ago.
Hello, can I ask you a question?
Ain't nobody coming on the show.
Just as an intelligent adult, how would Mel know what she was going to come on the show and say?
Because we had conversations.
If it was her, how did it start?
It's none of your business. Because look,
if you can tell the story, tell the story.
Tell the full story.
So let me be very clear.
Who said you should come on the girls' trip?
So
How did she even know about the girls' trip?
So let me be very clear. I never said.
You're not being very clear.
If you
You're making up a story.
You know what? I'm not going to sit here and argue with leg, hips, and breasts. I'm good.
Okay. There seems to be this odd conversation that has taken place. You think it was Melody making stuff up with this woman.
I know. I don't think I know.
Okay. Melody obviously feels strongly that there's information she knew that was going to come on the show or not. The part that seems, well, in terms of validity.
Well, if you come, listen, if you come in that Melody, I've never really know someone, why would she bring somebody to the show if you guys are coming at her about it?
She tried.
She tried. No, I'm saying, what's wrong with that? If you guys are coming at her like that.
Believe it or not,
talking about her, the infidelity
did
we
you
had going on.
not and say, hey, Marcel, you have got to talk about this. You've got to talk about this. Martel and Mel are talking about this. All right? Because as a friend, when you guys came out and said, hey, man, we're going to do this show. We're doing this show, but we don't want y'all to say anything about this.
I never said that.
Yes, y'all
Mel
did.
said that.
Never.
Yes,
said
Mel
that.
said that.
Don't say anything about what?
We had this
conversation.
Infidelity. Y'all asked us not to say that.
But it didn't come out my mouth.
Okay,
It came out
Martel's
Martel's mouth.
You came out my mouth. Don't talk about this.
No worries, y'all. I'm going to play it again. I just wanted to give some commentary for fair use, of course. So there's a few things in here that I want to touch on. And then I'm going to play it again for any people that just came in. And I do apologize for the echo. I will mute myself when I play it again. But number one thing, Tisha, if you really wanted to put to bed these rumors about Marcel cheating on you, if he has cheated, I would say just say that, because you chose to film on a reality TV show. And it's not like this is a scripted fictional show where you are reading a script about people who are not you. You're actually playing yourself. So if Marcel has cheated and you wanted to put it to bed, just put it out there and get it out the way. And then what else can we say? Because you will have talked about it already. Well, let's play it again. And I'm going to mute myself. And then I want to talk about some more things.
It was asked if she would be willing to come on the girls' trip. And she was going to tell Letitia, hey, I didn't know he was married. This was years ago.
Hello, can I ask you a question?
Ain't nobody come on no show.
Just as an intelligent adult, how would Mel know what she was going to come on the show and say?
Because we had conversations.
If it was her, how did it start?
It's none of your business. Because look,
well, if you're gonna tell the story, tell the story.
Tell the full story.
Tell the story. Who invited her?
Clear.
Who said you should come on the girls' trip?
So let me be very clear.
How did she even know about the girls'
trip?
trip?
So let me be very clear. I never said.
You're not being very clear.
If you
You're making up a story.
You know what? I'm not gonna sit here and argue with leg, hips, and breasts. I'm good.
Okay. There seems to be this odd conversation that has taken place. You think it was Melody making stuff up with this woman.
I know. I don't think I know.
Okay. Melody obviously feels strongly that there's information she knew that was going to come on the show or not. The part that seems, well, in terms of validity.
Well, if you come, listen, if you coming at Melody, if Melody really knows something, why would she bring somebody to the show? If you guys are coming at her about,
She tried.
No, I'm saying what's wrong with that? If you guys are coming at her like
you know,
that,
believe it or not,
talking about the infidelity we had going
did you
on.
not and say, hey, Marcel, you have got to talk about this. You've got to talk about this. Martel and Mel are talking about this. All right, because as a friend, when you guys came out and said, hey, man, we're going to do this show. We're doing this show, but we don't want y'all to say anything about this.
I never said that.
Yes, y'all
Mel
did.
said that.
Never.
Yes,
said
Mel
that.
said that.
Don't say anything about what.
We had this
Infidelity.
conversation.
Y'all asked us not to say that.
Together, but it didn't come out my mouth.
Okay,
It came out
Martel's
Martel's
mouth.
mouth.
It came out my mouth. Don't talk about this.
Okay, so we have heard in recent reports that Kimmy and Tish are kind of at odds, and I am guessing that it is because, hello, Anonymous, I am guessing that it is because in that clip we saw Kimmy actually taking up for Melody, saying that it was Martel who told the men who told Marceau and Tish not to talk about infidelities on a reality TV show. And that really just shows that they're a bunch of bozos. You sign up for a reality TV show. Why are you trying to structure the show with lies? Because to me, if you're trying to cover up the truth, that is a lie. It's going to come out. You're on a reality TV show. I do want to read Anonymous's comments really quick. Legs, hips, and breast equals needs girdles, 100%. Male identified people like to bully women who don't toe the line. I know that's right. Absolutely. I want to show this comment. I'll read it again. Male identified people like to bully women who don't toe the line. And I know what she's getting at, Marceau actually cutting Melody off repeatedly. And we're going to talk about that as well. Word is getting around about Anonymous, I see. Yes, when I enjoy other panels, I do see you calling in and expressing yourself. So that's how I know you, yes. So she actually, Anonymous does point out about men bullying women, okay? When they're not going to be just pushovers and just let, things be covered up. They're going to speak up for themselves. And Marceau was repeatedly cutting off Melody. This isn't anything new. When his mother-in-law, Wanda, had her, some sort of pop-up shop with her food that she cooks, and she dumps all the barbecue sauce on the potatoes and it just makes you feel the heartburn already just watching it. At that event, Kiki was ready to reveal whatever secret Tish and Marceau have been hiding from the viewers. And Marceau was cutting her off. He was raising his voice, talking over her to try and discourage her from saying it, to keeping it from getting out. And he was doing the exact same thing to Melody. Melody kept saying, let me be clear, let me be clear. She was trying to start off her response. And then he even said, you're not being clear because you keep cutting her off. And then she said, I'm not going to argue with legs, hips, and breasts. And if you notice, that jab totally went over Tish and Marceau's heads. They didn't even get it. Marceau is typically more swift than that, but I think that he was so anxious about trying to make sure that their secrets did not get out that he didn't even notice what jab Melody was throwing out there about his body. He didn't even get it because I could almost see him relax after she gave up on trying to say it. And she said, I'm not even going to argue. I could see him relax like, oh, I avoided that bomb. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about was Melody was trying to say that there was a woman whom Marceau allegedly had some sort of interactions with. And the woman wanted to come on the show to actually say to Tish, I did not know that he was married. And this was years ago. But of course, Marceau cut Melody off, so she could not fully explain what the scene would entail. And then, Tisha was trying to say, not I think, I know. She was trying to bring someone on the show. But see, Tisha's stance is that it would be in a fictional light. That whatever woman that Melody was trying to bring on the show would be lying. It would not be the truth. So these people, they should actually work for the government. They should have worked for 45 because Marceau and Tish, they are excellent at covering up stuff, honey. And I already know at congressional hearings, they would just talk over people and interrupt them until they just say, forget it. I'm not going to argue with legs, hips, and breasts. But I can definitely, because I see where a few people have just joined us, welcome. I can play the clip again. I'm also going to drop the link if anyone would like to come up and join me. Definitely feel free. Just give me one moment. So I've done that. If anyone would like me to play the clip again, if you're just now joining and you did not see the reunion clip, definitely, drop a 1 in the comments, and I'll go ahead and I'll play it again. It's not a big deal. And yes, let me know what you all think about this reunion clip. Okay. Hello, Anonymous. How are you tonight?
Hello, how are you doing? This is my first time being on your panel.
Yes, it is. I am a brand new channel, pretty much. So
Okay.
yes, this is great to have you.
Yeah, it's just we saw it last night on the Silvers. We were like watching it, and she had to stop it while we were doing the live. We were laughing at the hips. Was it hips, legs, hips, and breast? I think that's what she said.
Yeah, isn't it hilarious that they didn't get the joke? I really think it's because they were so laser focused on trying to interrupt Melody, try to like shut her down.
True, or they were suffocating from their own girdles. That was what I was thinking.
Right. So what did you think about, so we've heard about this Alonda woman who used to be the hairstylist of Melody, and there was the alleged rumor that she was the woman, or at least one of the women that Marceau messed around with. So from the clip, did you gather that that was the same person that perhaps was trying to come on the show to say, I didn't know he was married and it was years ago, or do you think there was a different woman in addition to her?
I think it probably was her hairstylist, Alonda.
Okay.
I think he has many women. Okay. And allegedly, he's been messing even with women that I call them Hotel, but Martel has been messing with.
Oh,
so
that would be so nasty.
I think the thing is you can tell, and I hate to see it because both Melody and Letitia, even though I have a nickname for her, are both sorority sisters, is that you can tell there's a tension between them because you can tell Letitia is envious and jealous of Melody.
Oh, for sure.
And what's sad is I think it's done on purpose by Mr. Girdles to keep the control. It's to keep her in the basement, to keep her looking to come out. Like, remember, I think it was season 1 or season 2. Melody went to her to help her get independence, literally get a job, get an interview, and help get that deal. And it brought them money, but Marcel was like, nope, we're going to stop this. And,
absolutely.
And on other panels, we were talking about the narcissist and the control. And they talk about the person who's able to break away from it is able to be independent and not codependent. Yes. And looking at Marcel, to me, he reminds me of Mr. in The Color Purple. And Letitia is Celie. Because if you look at her, when she was interviewing with Funky Dineva, she had to always look at Marcel for permission to speak.
Permission to speak, exactly.
Yeah. And even when they sat, you saw the clip here, if you notice, she had the team with Marcel, which would have been, what you should have done was just keep quiet. Let him make the argument. Why did she have to gang up on Melody? Because that was the issue. So it's like she was guarding for him or something, protecting him from the truth coming out.
And I noticed, and I may be on in a couple of different devices. I don't know can you mute if your YouTube version is still going? I don't think I hear the echo now. Okay, we're all good. But did you notice that Kimmy was basically backing up Melody's claims that she never told the Scotts, don't talk about our infidelities? Kimmy said that came out of Martel's mouth. And we've heard some whisperings that Tish is now back mad at Kimmy.
Yeah, I think they say she's mad at Kimmy, but I think this is Wanda. She's mad that Wanda's off the show, in my opinion.
Oh.
I really do believe Wanda was her mouthpiece.
Absolutely.
And
Tish is like low-key manipulative herself. She may not be as vocal and as aggressive as her mom, but I feel like she knows how to wind up Wanda herself and kind of get in her ear. Like they were talking about me, and to get her mom mad so that she'll do something. She can be manipulative too, like passive aggressive.
Correct. Yeah, it's if you notice, I always thought it was odd that Letitia thinks she's the same age as Sugar Mama and should be treated the same way.
Yes.
She's 41 years old. You can't defend yourself. I mean, what I'm saying is they were comparing when she was making the argument at Madani about the fact of why Wanda was able to talk about Sugar Mama is because she was talking about, well, you talked about my dad and their relationship. And I'm looking at her, exactly. But just the fact, they forgot that Wanda on Carlos King's nightcap was talking disparaging about her. That's what started the whole thing. It was just a tit for tat.
Between adults. That had nothing
between
to do
adults. It had nothing, and that's why I say with Wanda, I think you're right about the Kimmy thing, because Kimmy saw who really her friends and supporters were when she was going through the chemo. Yes. And I remember that show where, I thought it was weird. To me, I don't know if people are crying, if it's genuine, but I just thought it was odd that if you said you were going to be there for her, you didn't keep your word and you weren't there for her. You could have been just out in the parking lot and just gave her roses. What I'm saying is, if she's someone important to you, that's what you do. That's you show your presence. But I think I think there's a reason why that's happening. I think this is because Marceau is controlling her. Yes. He wants her not to have anybody to lean on and comfort. So I wouldn't be shocked that he's like, okay, you need to stay away from Kimmy. You know what I mean? Because it's just weird.
I want to go back to what you were saying earlier about season one when Tish wanted to get out there and get a job
Yep.
and Marceau wasn't supportive. And you said, you know, like, I think he keeps the wedge between Melody and Tish to control her. That's a very interesting point that you make because I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, because Melody would empower her. She
Yep.
would think, wow, she has more kids than me. And when she left, the fourth baby was a little infant. Surely I can make it. You know, if she had those thoughts about leaving, she would look at Melody and think, well, if she can make it, I know that I can.
Well,
You're
it's just that
absolutely right.
it's just for her to get, like, I think in the first season, she was confident with who she was because she was doing something, whether it be getting a degree or
Yeah.
working, because that's the one thing. If you notice with Kimmy, when Maurice was able to get her to lose her nursing,
Yeah.
she lost life in her. That's what I mean. It's like they tell you, we were looking at the studies on another panel of why they tell you need to keep your independence. Like I was always saying, she needs to, even if she's not working full time, work part time, just so
Yes.
you can get away from the narcissistic control. You got to have your own mind,
You
because what
do.
happens is she could have, and he cried this past episode about it. She could have still had insurance and
Yeah,
taken her mammogram. He's not thinking.
exactly. That took my breath away when he had to vent to someone. He was like, you know, and I'm the one who told her to quit her job. And then there was the overlapping with the next mammogram because of no insurance. And like, I felt bad because you don't want, he shouldn't blame himself, but that is such a huge thing. Like, oh my gosh, this season would have gone totally different had she gotten that mammogram. So that is just quite amazing. And it speaks to the importance of having to do it. But you're right, you have to hold on to your mind. And I think that women, we go through so many changes in life because you are programmed to want to go to college, get a job, then you get married and you have babies. You know, I
Yeah.
was saying at the beginning of this video, I had to push the video back because I spent some time with my godparents. I love them. But, you know, ever since I graduated from Michigan State, they were always, so when are you getting married? When are you getting married?
It
And
was
even
pressuring.
tonight, they were like, where's your, yes, the pressure. And that
And
can really, if you're not careful, the level of desperation can take you in a very bad place with a very bad guy. Okay.
and that's the
So,
thing that they're not understanding. Like
yeah.
as I told on one thing with the Silva we were doing about marriage. Marriage is a great thing, especially for wealth building, having companionship, you name it. But marrying a narcissist is not a good thing.
Yes.
Marrying someone who doesn't value you as a person, because for them to date, you had to be of value. Why do you
Yes.
want to control me? You're trying to make me into your image. This is weird. And I
Yeah.
noticed that with all these men on Love and Marriage Huntsville, some of them are not. Like, I don't think Jalen is like that. But
Right.
Maurice feels insufficient or inadequate. And
Yeah.
that's why he's trying to make her do something. Because I heard he was a bum on the couch. He wasn't working.
Right.
Literally, I was like, you're not working. Because I have legal experience, but I just got a call for a client. So I know there are people who have need for clients, but I don't see him working. And that's the
Yeah.
part where, you could tell on Kimmy's face, she's tired because she was the one that was keeping it going. And that's why I said she felt pressured to do his new venture with what he wanted to do. But something
Yeah.
should have told her to say, I'm still doing it part time. Because they said her boss wanted her to stay.
Oh no. I'm
Yeah.
sure
And
she's a wonderful nurse, attentive, organized, knowledgeable. I'm sure she was an amazing nurse.
yeah,
And then
but
her boss
yeah.
wanted her to stay.
And that's the sad thing is, like, usually they'll tell you if you do hobbies, don't quit everything, just make it a hobby. Still have your main source of income, because life
Absolutely.
happens and you need to be able to sustain. So that's why I say it's just, do I think Kimmy has regrets? Yes. because she could have probably married a guy who might have been a divorcee who wanted to travel, but he was established. But I think with what Martel had and the Scotts had, with, you know, because Melody was the Holtz, or at least Melody, was the synergy in terms of the connections with the community. And, you know, they got a chance to get on the show for whatever reason. But I just think a lot of that is you're seeing the narcissism at play. And this is why I think everybody's so emotional, is because we're all dealing with this in our life in some aspect. Like we have family members, you name it.
Yeah, I can relate to the type of men that Marceau and Maurice are. They do remind me of my dad, and my dad is an Alabama man. He grew up in Alexander City, Alabama, and he was very strict. And I'm the baby. My siblings are a lot older, but they would tell me, like, Ebony, you have a watered down version of Daddy. When we were growing up, we all wanted to wear afros. He felt like only men should wear afros, and on the tail end of it, then he let my sisters get afros. So he was chauvinistic. He was an excellent provider. He worked 2 jobs for dozens of years, but he was just like that man. And I look at Marceau, and it does remind me of traits of my dad. But ironically, his girls, my sisters and I, we work and we have our own homes, and they're divorced. I've never been married, but that independence is there. Although we did grow up in a home with a chauvinistic and strict dad. So, and I'm just telling the truth. It doesn't make me not love my dad. I love him, but that was just the truth. And I do recognize some of that in Marceau and Maurice. And a lot of viewers are annoyed with Kimmy because they want her to, like, give it to Maurice, on camera and check him. I do think that, like Tish and Marceau, I do think that Maurice and Kimmy are kind of private too and try to shelter their union. I do think that Kimmy does kind of give Maurice the business in private when it's just the two of them. That's my guess. And I think that as far as her kind of almost gelling with Tish this current season, I think the Scott family overall just kind of put the squeeze on Kimmy and kind of made her.
Wanda started it.
Yeah, because at the last reunion, Kimmy said if she and I weren't family by marriage, she wouldn't be the type of woman that I would really hang out with. She was just being honest. And I think that the Scott family kind of put the squeeze on that lady, and she had to, like, change her tune for this season. Like, what are your thoughts on Kimmy, Maurice, and Kimmy and Tish?
Well, Kimmy, Maurice, I think Kimmy's older, but she knows Maurice is not. Like I said, I think he was a bum on a couch. Lazy, very lazy. But he's trying to assert that he is the man. And what way can you do that? And some people say that usually Black men will do that with their wives and their children. You will do as I say. You need to do my career. He tried to do that with Jalen, remember, to make him go into entrepreneurship. It's to control him, to have him do what he wants. But see, that's the thing where, with the narc, they don't think pros and cons. Well, what if life happens? What if someone gets sick? Do you have health insurance? You know what I mean? You're not thinking, you think your plan is going to work 100%, but then when life happens, then you're crying on your brother's shoulder on a scene. But that's, you could have thought of that proactively. But I just think that's why he doesn't understand. You got to be very, with things like this, it's better, even if you want to go into business on your own, it's a risk, but you need to be willing to have resources to deal with that risk. And see, what I believe Kimmy was like Melody. She was the provider in the family, in the relationship. And, he's more like a leech a little bit. And she paid for it, because I think what really hurt her is when he brought his ex-wife and her husband down and didn't even tell her.
Yeah.
You and I, he's not working, so who paid for it? It was her, Kimmy.
Yeah.
Kimmy paid for that. And you see what I mean, the stress broke her down. I'm sorry. It just, and it wasn't necessary. So that's why I'm saying I don't know if he's willing to get counseling, because most narcissists are not willing to change because they think they know it all. And and it's the control. They want control over everybody. But a person who wants to have healthy and productive relationships you have to have somebody else tell you, well, you should have done this. Have you tried this way? It doesn't mean that your way was wrong, but let's try another way to see if we reach the end goal of, you can agree to disagree, or, move that way. And I just think people like Maurice and even Martel and Marceau, they're stuck on like, it has to be black and white. The square has to fit the circle. It must fit. I can't make it be anything. And that linear type of view is a little difficult because that's not how life is. There's a lot of gray area. There's a lot of mitigating factors. There's a lot of things. Like I remember we had a couple of days ago or last week, it got heated after we saw the show. I kept asking the question about, what do you do when you have children? What do you do when you have family members that are threatened? That changes everything.
Yes.
It's not saying that your situation isn't right, but it's not a black and white type of scenario. It's gray. And that's what we call like the mitigating factor. So you just got to be, careful. I'm praying for Kimmy, because this is what the 3 stages that she's going through is serious. She just did her chemo. Now she has to go through surgery, and then she has to do radiation after that. So that's a lot.
That is absolutely.
That is a lot. And, I think her fear is she knows with Martel, he's been cheating. He's been cheating. So, and I seriously doubt just because she has an illness, he's going to stop. I just hope he's respectful with it.
Yeah.
For her, but I think that hurts her a little bit.
Now, you did speak on a pattern of, particularly with Kimmy and Melody, of being the women who were the breadwinners. They funded everything, made sure all of the family's needs were met through their jobs, their income. And it's so funny because the men on this show, they want their wives to be ultra submissive. But then on this other side of the token, but I also need your job. I need your income, because sometimes I wonder, like, did Kimmy help invest in Maurice's credit repair company? I hope she did not help pay on his law school, because I know that had to be expensive. You just don't know at what lengths these women has gone financially to support these men, and then they still want them to be submissive. Like, you can't have the best of both worlds, especially like when women were ultra submissive, they were also the stay-at-home moms. They were in the home.
Correct.
There was not much opportunity for them to work. And then now we are working. Now we have to work because it's really hard.
It's very different.
So you have to be self-sufficient. So it's like they want the submissive woman, but then they also want your income. That's crazy to me.
Well, I said a good point. I think Hotel wanted Melody. He wanted to treat her like he's a pimp, and everybody else were the prostitutes.
Yeah.
And it's sad though. The misogyny, I call it the hatred for women, the chauvinism, where a woman has to be inferior to you, is taught, I think, on a religious aspect as well as in the community. And it's reinforced by women like Letitia and some people to get it. That's a problem because since the 80s and 70s, economically, women are not like they were back in the day where they were stay-at-home moms. Because you and I know in the majority culture, as well as the people of color, you have to have two incomes to make it work.
Yes.
And I remember talking about this. I know Mind of Lilith didn't go into it, but marriage there are two thoughts regarding marriage. Previous one has always been the submissive role, where the man is the head, the woman is underneath and inferior. Now that's some it can work, but that's usually that has been the traditional role. There has been since the 70s, 1970s, I think, a new train of thought where it was treating marriage or couples, spouses as partners, where it's a partnership, where you equally share ideas, equally share um, um, kind of opinions. You have respect for one another. There's a loyalty to each other, and you're joint and severally liable regarding everything. But you're viewing this other person as your equal, not underneath you. And you could tell Melody felt the new way, the partnership, and she tried to communicate that with him. But Martel wanted to get the people that only wanted the submissive.
Yes.
Now, he lied to her saying he wanted to be a partner, but he would attract people who only wanted the submissive.
Yes.
So this is why it's so difficult, I think, because it's like oil and water. Those two things don't mix. And I think that's why Melody, and I think Kimmy wanted a partnership too, but you could tell Maurice wants the submission.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to force their women to be like Letitia.
Yeah.
That's what they want. And
mm-hmm. No, go ahead. Finish.
Oh, I was just going to say, and that's to me where like women like you and I, and even men who are like, what are you doing? You know, I mean, we're not thinking like this. They're not understanding times have changed. You know, and I told somebody, it was kind of funny. I said, I would submit to you if you could read, write, and do arithmetic. I would. Because if you took a leapfrog class, I would, Martel, you know, you're progressing. There's difference. But if you're staying stagnant and I have to read to you for you to do stuff, you're not working. I mean, it'd be different if you would come to the office. I would train you like an apprentice on what to do. He never came to the office. You know, I mean, it's like, she can't do that.
They have to be worthy of a woman to submit to a man. They have to be worthy for us to do that. And they never get it. I feel like in our community, the women, we're so trained for everything, to be educated, to work, to be good wives, to be great moms. We're always being trained for things.
But they're not.
Yeah, the men get no training. So it's unequal. And then they'll never admit that they actually have a race of women who are amazing. They actually try to point out things that is not perfect about you because it's to make them feel better. And I do get that energy from Maurice, especially when he used to always say, oh, I need to have sex every day. I think he wanted to convince us that he has this out of this world drive, this out of this world sex drive. I think it was to make him look a certain way.
You know why?
Why?
They said previously with him, with Kyle, he was very huge and overweight.
Oh.
So when he got with Martel, that was when, or at least with them, they were exercising more. So he lost weight. So I think he was able to see his sexual organ. He hadn't seen it before. You know, when they see it, they like get excited, like on the Nutty Professor. Oh my God, I got this. I've never had this before. So no, he's trying to make you think that he's there. But if you notice, like even in the episode, he looked like he's gotten bigger and bigger. I'm like, I thought you said you wanted to have sex all the time. Where's the, I mean, you usually lose weight with sex. So that's why I'm looking at it going like, something's not working here.
Yeah. Kimmy is obviously cooking and he's eating.
Well, it's not working out. That's what I'm saying. When he was, he lost a little weight, but you could tell he's not committed. Like he'll do it for a period of time, but you got to be committed. Now, that's one thing about Martel. Martel will be in the gym or have sex. That's what he does.
Yes.
That's what he does.
And I believe at the melee, Martel would have, I knew he was going to whoop both brothers. I'm like, I don't even know why they're talking all this ish, like they're going to do something. Martel,
you know why?
Both. Because they're out of shape.
Yeah, well, Vanessa revealed that it was Maurice that sucker punched Martel.
Oh no. Oh
That's
really?
why they got heated, and I knew what happened. Maurice was the one that sucker punched Martel.
Sucker punch. Oh, okay, Maurice. That's
Hmm.
that's that's low down.
And
And
they
you know
cut it
Martel would have
so
whooped
you
you.
couldn't see it. I knew on the IG live. That's why the fight was bigger than that. It was Maurice who did it.
Oh no, Maurice. Okay. Well, he better be glad that Martel has forgiven him because he would have whooped them both.
Well, see,
Now,
that's another thing. How can you now if you sucker punch me and I've lost my wife and my kids and food to eat, I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
be friends
reach.
with you? What is going on, Martel?
Exactly. I have a question for you about going back to the submission and
Yeah.
how you said, Melody subscribes to the new train of thought. Now, like, you definitely changed, like the woman that you were when you were 20, 21, 22 versus 35, 36, and then the 40s and so on and so forth. Do you think that perhaps when she was 20, Martel was able to convince her that, the way to be is this submissive wife? And then as time went on, she realized, wait a minute, he's not even worthy of my submission. He's cheating on me. I have the income. I'm the teacher. I have the builder's license. I'm pushing these babies out of my body. Do you think there was ever at one time in the beginning where she was submissive?
Um, I think during the marriage she always would show some submission.
Mhm.
And the reason why is I kind of can relate to what Melody had done. I didn't get married, but usually a narcissist will try to marry you real young, the
Mhm.
older ones. Especially she has a light, like gifted, intelligent, you name it. And I know he was older than she was, but they love to see the beautiful flower. And she was, delicate flower. I know she's a member of AKA. And but she was very intelligent, top of her class, you name it. So he knew that I think he wanted to conquer her. That's the thing. So at the beginning, they love bomb, or they call it the idolization phase, because their goal is to make you think that they're Prince Charming. So I think at the beginning, even though it might have been a couple of years, you didn't see the Hyde in him. You saw Jekyll only.
Yeah.
And as I told in previous panels, I said I believe he lied to her, like he was a wolf in sheep clothing.
Mhm.
He hid the wolf in large part, or he hid the wolf in large part because he had the ATM felony charge. That's why.
Yeah.
When he had that, he was on probation. And usually, most people, if you're a felony and you're on probation, you're going to do the straight and narrow. So he had to be on the straight and narrow. And I think at that point, Melody got the best of him because he was on the straight and narrow. He would have ended up like his father if he didn't. Now, I heard, I don't know if you heard, that Melody actually did a huge favor for him. And that's the reason why I think she's probably more upset with him than anything. If she would have let him stay with that felony probation and just be on probation, I think you would have seen him stay the person that she met.
Hmm.
She, because I guess for their business to try to improve their image and everything, I guess he asked her to write a letter to the Alabama governor to get a pardon for him for his felony ATM.
And he was pardoned?
He was pardoned for that.
Shut up.
And Melody was the one single-handedly. She wrote it on her IG live, got it for him.
Oh my.
So this is why I believe she's mad, and I would be too.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote and got your slate clean and clear.
And you still.
And you went back to where you come from.
Yeah.
That got you that felony ATM. So basically, he didn't know, or she knew now, like if you see the last episode, she knows now who the enemy was. It was him.
Mm-hmm. She called him out on it. I love that.
Yeah, and she did it a subtle way. And I've had to do it to narcissists that I know and told them, I said, you've been trying to destroy me.
Yeah.
You use your flying monkeys, but you're the architect. You're the ringleader.
Yeah.
You are the one that's done this. And they do it on purpose. They think you, and then they try to make you think you're crazy. But she knows. She said, no, I'm getting the therapy. I know you brought them here. But that's why I think it was so hurtful for her, is because who do you know, like I know, would write a letter to get you pardoned for your thing?
Exactly. That's
And this is how
major.
I mean, do you know how many people, President Trump, they made a big deal about some of those people getting out. He wrote a thing to clean their state when they were there too long.
That's major.
That's critical. That is huge.
A huge sign of generosity.
She was able to have him build his credit. With her, his credit got up. And I'm looking at him going like, he must have a mental illness or he was demonic from the get-go.
Yeah.
Because most people I know, if you get me off like that, I'm indebted to you for life.
Exactly. Let's talk about his mother, because I will say, like, Melody very cleverly, because I felt like she was almost sending us a signal in the last episode. Yes. Like, look at his mother. And when they were sitting on the boat, and, I have my water, but Miss Marlene, she had her cup. She was like holding up her cup. She had her liquor in it. Mm-hmm. And Melody said, yeah, Martel, you were bullied as a kid. That's like not even almost like normal conversation that you would have on a yacht. But Melody brought that up. And it did make me focus like, oh, wow, Martel was bullied. And then she said, yeah, and Miss Marlene, you felt like that was whining if a kid talked about being bullied. And she said, yeah, and I didn't have time anyway. I was working 2 jobs. Melody was almost like saying to us, like, this is part of his crazy.
It is
because his mother was so harsh. And then now she's enabling him. Like, what do you think about, because some women can be other women's greatest enemy, right? Like, I spoke about the pressure to get married after I graduated school and was working. Yeah. And then at the same time, they'll pressure the women, but then they'll enable the men.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on Miss Marlene?
Well, Miss Marlene, I revealed it 2 days ago. My hunch is this is an example of the Oedipus complex. Martel wants to be in a relationship with his mother. He thought he could get it with Melody, and she helped him. There were some motherly qualities. Yeah. But his perversion sexually is with the peasant, which is like his mother. Mm-hmm. And I've noticed Marlene acts like a jealous wife sometimes, mm-hmm. which to me is showing the Oedipus complex situation. Now, not being to, put everything on Marlene. Is she a product of her environment? Yes. Mm-hmm. Poverty is very hard for many people. Mm-hmm. And especially if you don't have education either. Yeah. And I know with Hotel, or I call him Hotel, but Martel, he has a learning disability. You can tell. But what's so sad about it is he's still mad at his father for abandoning him. Yeah. He's still mad at his mother, probably for the men that she had in his life that he didn't like. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the thing where Dr. Francis was actually getting to the heart of the issue. But when he started getting close, he repelled him. Mm-hmm. Because, and really, he still needs to get the therapy, but it doesn't need to be on TV. He needs to just talk with them. He needs to work out his issues of, one, I think, to forgive his father and his mother. Forgive them. Or even be angry with them, but forgive yourself so you can be a better parent to your children.
And drop the misguided anger at Melody.
Well, that's what we pointed out. Let me show you the article. I'm going to send it to you in private chat. You can put it up. It really talked about why the misguided anger happens. And I think a lot of people, it can happen with men and women, are dealing with that. Is because when they talk of this article was talking about how with adults, the unresolved Oedipus complex in adults, in the adulthood. Yeah, this is just explaining it, where you talk about the Greek mythology. Oedipus was the son, did some unalived his father, and was with his mother, married or relationship with mother. But if you scroll down a little bit, they talk about the different impacts. For women, it's called the Electra complex with their fathers, and Oedipus is the son. But they talk about here what you should do to have a successful development for the children, sons,
Oh,
where you
wow.
make sure you do things. Yeah, they were talking about this is what you would do if you have a child, what you want to make sure, because you're trying to have the children be adults and have healthy, productive relationships to continue in society. But you can, like I said, you can look at that. But if you keep scrolling down a little bit, this is the article where it's talking about it.
Oh, the boy falls in love with his mother because she is, after all, the first person of the opposite sex in his life. At that moment, his father becomes his opponent and wants to get rid of him so that he can have his mom's attention, love, and attention for himself. Oh, and the role of the father is immensely important. When then Martel didn't have his dad around.
Or a father figure to help him. He was looking to his uncle with the ATMs. And the other uncle that he would bring another uncle that he would try to help save his marriage, but it was all a front. He wasn't looking to listen to them.
Yes.
That was the thing.
I want to bring up the jealousy that you brought up about Miss Marlene. That was very key. And it was very annoying because it seems so unfair. When Miss Marlene said to Melody when they sat down for lunch, and she said, I thought I would think to myself, she gonna kill my boy. And he had you spoiled. I thought to myself, even if he was running out to the 7-Eleven to get ice cream every night or whatever. I mean, she was pregnant with 4 kids 4 times.
Yep.
She worked. I'm sure the most he did was during her maternity leave. I mean, I think that was jealousy maxed as judging Melody, like, oh, you were lazy and Martel had you spoiled. I think he was just being a husband and a dad. I think that he was doing the minimum. And she was jealous because she didn't have that. Melody did try to bring it up. Melody was very gracious towards that lady because she could have.
So is Vanessa.
Yeah. They could have really clarified with that woman. But, I think Melody was being very nice and gentle about it. And she said, well, I know you were a single parent. That was Melody's way of saying, I know that you weren't married, so you didn't get any assistance from the men that, that you chose to have kids with. But I do think that she was judging her out of jealousy.
Yeah. And that's the part where we know that both Melody and Martel were not equally yoked. They weren't. It's hard, I think, when you're dealing with people who come from poverty, when they see people who don't come from poverty. There's always, especially, a crab in the barrel mentality or jealousy. I mean, you're seeing that with Letitia and Melody. Wanda and Marlene are the same. Like, they can't stand Vanessa. Have you noticed?
Oh, yes.
It's a socioeconomic attack. It's a manners attack. You're seeing the different styles of how to raise children. And I've always believed the way we did things back in the day, children are a little bit more smarter now, and that might not be the proper way. And then we're not still dealing with the vestige of oppression like we did before. Yeah. Back then you had, you saw Emmett Till.
Yeah.
You remember that. So there was a reason why a lot of people went a little wild in protecting, because it could be a life and death situation. Mm-hmm. Versus now we actually have integrated, we have access. So we have access to different tools of how to properly parent. But like with Marlene and even Martel, you could tell they have a learning disability. I don't think they are very good at reading, either one of them.
Yeah.
So what they do is they go with what they know, which is what was taught down to them back in the day. But as you could tell, like he still thinks he's still married to Melody, even though the divorce happened and they're no longer there. So their mind is like, no, you did this. Let's just go back to what it was. No, you can't. You've changed it. You've changed the dynamics. And it's if she goes back, if Melody goes back, her life is completely in danger because he's going to blame her for leaving. That's why she can't go back. She has to let that whole thing go and set a new course because he's that sociopathic.
The way that he acted in Vegas, I just remember the producer's reaction, how abrupt she was about getting Marceau, and how Marceau actually jumped out of the pool in a very timely fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
it could have been a Shaquilla. It could have been a Shaquilla situation.
Yeah.
It could have been.
Like, it almost seemed like the producer and Marceau, they knew something about Martel that maybe you and I are not privy to. Like,
well, I've heard allegedly from one of his women in season 1 or 2 that he had a child with. She was a nurse. Is that he does suffer from bipolar disorder, and he has to take medication for it. Now, if you know anybody, and I know people who are bipolar, have been diagnosed, they don't like taking the medication. I would not be shocked in Vegas. Martel has not been taking the medication.
Okay.
So when you're not taking, you have a chemical imbalance in your head. You know, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I think that's the thing where when he yelled, remember he said, I'm sorry for that. Like he thinks it didn't happen because it's like a split personality. He went hide. You don't know. But that's dangerous. I think that's one of the reasons why Melody had 2 homes, to escape him.
Yeah.
Because of what he would do.
Do you think that it ever got physical? And of course, everything.
Of course. If he's like his father, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, well, why did Melody not leave quickly? Usually the kids are threatened.
Yeah. I never understood. But can we talk about that for a minute? I never understand questions like that. And that's another example of women totally going against women when they say, well, why did she stay so long? Tisha even tried it at the Galentine's event.
Yeah.
You know your husband was cheating and you still had another baby. You know,
and so is yours, and you don't care.
I know, right?
He's doing it right in your face.
They judge women like it's just so easy to pick up a kid and another kid and a 4th kid and pack up everything.
Don't they know in businesses? That's why I said they don't realize she moved correctly because her counsel was telling her to move. The reason why she was asked to come back was because of the $30 million 47-acre deal. That's why her attorney, her financial advisor, Chris Fletcher, all the rest of them were having her stay because of that money.
Wow. It was tied up.
She made a business move, but he was so disrespectful. And that's why I say, I don't know what is it with him and Marlene or these people that he's affiliated with, for him to really have that much hatred for Melody. Is really, it's a hatred for her. And she didn't do anything to you. She took him from low class income to upper middle class millionaire status, and he hates her. His mother never did that. His daddy didn't do that. Marceau and Letitia and Maurice, they can't even read and write themselves. So why are you mad at someone that your whole family has been of degenerates? She's the best thing that ever came to you in your whole name. And this is how you repay her? And this is my thing. What type of friends do you have where you can't, like we're discussing, make that argument to him? That's the issue. Like Chris Fletcher told him, you know, you messed this up. You messed this up. And he got mad at him because he said, no, I didn't.
And he
Yeah, you
did.
messed this up.
Yeah, like, and that brings me to another point. You know, a lot of times, us women will work so hard at trying to be a success and be a hard worker and be intelligent. And like our community, especially, like we're encouraged to date potential. You know, oh, he has potential.
Uh,
And that can sometimes screw you over so bad. It's a miracle that Melody can even go out and start businesses and buy a home, buy a car, because he could have totally destroyed her credit. He could have totally exhausted the savings account. We know that he took like what, 17 grand or 7,000.
yeah, he took the 34,000, which was 17,000 hours, but he took more than that. She just was working hard. Yeah, you're
Like
right.
they
She
dating
had to,
potential.
she had to leave him, in my opinion, because if she would have stayed married to him, she would have unalived him,
Mm,
like in Snap,
Megan snapped. Yeah.
because he's demonic and he has a Jekyll and Hyde personality.
Hmm.
And he's even had his women, the peasant and others, follow Melody where she goes on her dates.
Sick.
So he's sick. That's why I said he thinks she is his property. And I think the reason why Melody, people say potential because we don't know about narcissism.
Mm,
A narcissist is an actor. That's what Martel does. He acts.
yeah.
His suits are acting. Melody knew he was deficient because that's the reason why she probably had to leave jobs to help him, because he didn't have it mentally. He doesn't know how to do it. So she covered for him, which because she had kids. Really, in large part, she had kids. She had kids, and she created that family unit. She created it.
Yeah.
And it was a family unit that was quite successful and worked. But she was, you could tell she was very thin. But I think when I've always said this, when he couldn't pass that builder's license exam, something happened.
Hmm.
I think as a man, he knew he was insufficient completely.
Yeah.
And instead of taking leapfrog, taking a course to deal with his disability,
Hmm.
and really asked Melody how to pass it. She helped him in school. She would have helped him pass the test.
He took it out on her.
He took it out on her. But I think that influence came from Marceau, Maurice, his friends,
Hmm.
who he associated with, had him think that he had to make Melody Letitia. And they didn't realize Melody is not Letitia and Letitia is not Melody.
Hmm.
Melody is not Kimmy and Kimmy is not Melody. They're all different. They
Yeah.
have value in their own right. You get what I mean? They have value, but you can't make every orange be the same. Like he said, the peasant's orange was like Melody's orange. Now you and I know how really.
Yeah, exactly. He ought to be shamed when he said at the last reunion, well, she went to the same college as you. Number one, Ariane did not finish.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And she's no comparison to your ex-wife, whom you totally screwed over. So
And he keeps saying she's a good mother. He says the peasant is a good mother because she's at home like Marlene. Really?
when that baby is screaming because
Yeah.
she ignores him and he had that horrible cough, and I'm like, so why don't
That must be how Martel was raised. If he thinks Marlene is a good mother, that's what it is. That's what I said. Y'all, I want him, and I said it last night, to marry the peasant. I want him to have the most ghetto wedding you've ever seen. Like Cedric the Entertainer said, there'll be sunflower seeds on the floor. The bridesmaids will be coming down like they on the pole, strapping the chain.
Mhm.
The minister's going to ask hotel, do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded groceries? That's what he's going to ask. Because
Right.
I want it to happen. I want him to go with her.
Now, Anonymous, I want to ask you if you saw this post from Ariane where she talks about how she was finessed into signing something. She says, the lies y'all told, the contract y'all finessed me into signing. I hate that for me. Like she must sit at home and just stew over everything over and over. So do you think that Carlos King had her sign a document saying that she won't sue and she understands that she's not on the show, but she may come up, she may be discussed?
Well, the thing about it is she was on the show. She was just on via a call. Remember?
Yeah.
He called her.
And that was it.
That was it. And now the weird thing is she lies so much, she might think she's Melody. I don't know. I mean, seriously. And so does Martel. He lies so much. I always say Ariane to me is hotel and drag. They're the same. They lie just to get attention.
They're the same. They're the same.
Yeah, and I think he has been with her when she made this post. That's why you saw the kid go to the school.
Yeah.
So the same day.
Because notice she says in the beginning that her son Knox, was asked to be on the show, but not her. Like, she definitely wants to be on TV. I don't even think it's just about getting the reality TV paycheck. I think she wants to be featured on the TV show. She wants to be nationally known. And then she's annoyed that the son was asked to film and not her. And then she just goes through these periods where she gets frustrated. You know, sometimes I think she's mad at him, and then she'll just rant. And then in the third column, you know, she tries to say that like it's all lies and they wanted, you know, to get fame from little old Huntsville. You know, now she's trying to shade the show. I don't think the size of the city matters. I think that adds flavor to the show, that it's not like a major city, but it's almost like she's trying to trick us.
Yeah,
it has engineers there. I think she was also trying to trick us, like, oh yeah, everything about it is a huge lie and y'all are falling for it. And then she tagged Oprah, which is just insane. Okay, this lady does not care. You don't even know the caliber of the person whom you're tagging. Just ridiculous. But this is who Martel cheated with.
Yep. Now, if you look at this is similar to what her previous lives and posts were when Martel and Melody were still married. So she always brings up Oprah. She always brings up being on the show. She always brings up her son coming up. It's like that's what she does to get attention. But she's a single Black female right now. I think she's a danger because Hotel, in my opinion, is still triangulating her with Melody and the others.
Okay.
Just the fact that she stated that she was, the child was at the same school as Sugar Mama. I think that's dangerous. Because what they want, and it's not so much for the child being there, it's like Ariane wants to interact with Melody when they pick up the child. Martel wants to interact with Melody when they pick up the child. This isn't about, like, they don't care about the children. This is about, we're going to make you be with us because you weren't supposed to leave at this time. We were supposed to suck the life out of you, Melody, and have you be treated like Wendy Williams. But you decided to rise as a phoenix and say, heck no, I'm not doing that.
Exactly. Because she could have lost her marbles and they just sucked up all of the money. But she did regroup, refocus, even with a little infant in the beginning of a pandemic.
The infant to me gave her
strength,
her weight back, her weight too. I always thought she was going to leave, but she gave Martel one last chance.
Yeah.
And then when I heard that he kept going to the other women during the pandemic, it was over. Forget the child, just the fact that he could have brought a fatal disease to Melody and her family.
Yes.
And he didn't care. That's the part where this man is sociopathic. He is dangerous. Wild. He's and I know he has a mental illness. I believe to me he's like Tim Norman of Sweetie Pies.
Yeah.
It's that dangerous.
That's scary. And
Yeah.
Melody would know. She would know exactly what he's been diagnosed with and what his issues are. She's salvaging his image, really. Like, we see him for the butthole and control freak and manipulator that he is, but
Yeah.
I think she's definitely even protecting his image even further.
Because it's the kids. If she didn't have kids with him, she'd be like, forget this out. Yeah, I mean, she wouldn't care.
Yeah.
But because you have Mariah,
Tank.
Boss Baby, Tank, Martel Jr.,
Yeah.
Sugar Mama, Melody, and they're spiritual, so she know what type of man she married.
Yeah.
And when you know what type of man you married, you know his strengths and weaknesses. I didn't think she realized that he was really her enemy, and he's always been. He just hid it.
Yes.
He hid it, and I mean, hindsight would be she should have said that he had to keep that felony record. I would have kept it.
I know. I know.
Sometimes probation is good for them. Keep it on there. You can't do that. Yeah. But she was looking for the business. You wanted to look, they were trying to get in business. It would not look good for him to have a felony charge, being co-owners in the business. You're trying to help him out. So,
Yeah.
But I'm thankful for her for regardless. She has 4 beautiful children. And see, that's the thing. We always say when you're smart in college, you never marry dumb jocks. There's a reason for that. You have beautiful babies.
Yes.
But you get your butt. You're dealing with the narcissism. You're dealing with the crazy things because usually they're not mentally stable.
Yeah.
Unless they work on it themselves. The key is he had to want to be better. But that's why I say it's scary with him, because most people I know who are gardening tools like he is, when presented with $30 million from the 47-acre deal, or get rid of the peasant and the other women, they would take the $30 million and keep their home. They just would. But he didn't want to do that. So scary.
It is, absolutely. Do you have any final thoughts about the reunion clip or the show as a whole or anything of that nature?
Well, I'm so proud of Melody Cherie. She looked great with her armor. I didn't realize she was listening to the lives where I called him hermaphrodite.
Yeah, when she said that joke, when she said legs, hips, and breasts, I thought to myself, she is watching the blogs on YouTube.
Yeah, because that was the first one I think they came up with that, because I noticed, and I'll tell you in the episode, Carlos King had Wanda and Marcel on, and his suit looked so pristine. I'm like, I looked at the confessional, I was like, is that a girdle? They're both wearing girdles. So when I said it on the live, everybody busted out laughing.
Yeah, and he wears them.
And then when we saw him wearing his girdle actually in his shorts where the fight happened,
exactly. How embarrassing. He should have been embarrassed.
I know, but I was like, I came up with the girdles, and then I said he must have breasts too, because it's hermaphrodite. I said it. He's the one that has both sexual organs. That's why Martel likes him so much.
Exactly. I'm like, oh my goodness. I cannot believe he is wearing that girdle. But
well, he has to. He has to, because trust me, it's not fitting. You know what I mean? But that's why I said, go to the gym, get in the swimming pool, start running, do something. They both need to, because I think Letitia had surgery to get her body, but she looks like she's still eating. And I'm just like, this ain't working now.
Some sort of like mommy makeover or something like that.
Yeah. And in the first season, she had a cute figure. And I mean, she looked like she was working and she was looking nice. And then something happened, but it's the stress. I understand when you're married to a man who treats you like Mr. with the color purple. That's
stressful.
And see, we were feeling sympathy for her. You know what I mean? We were. But then when Wanda came out as wild as she did and trying to hit an executive producer, Melody, and then she's like, now she's still coming at attacking Vanessa and Melody.
Yeah, I can tell they think Miss Van probably thinks that she's better. You know how sometimes if you carry yourself in a respectful way, you don't want to be
Mhm.
rude or act, a defense for other people is to say that you're bougie or you think that you're better. And I think that that's how Miss Wanda comes at Miss Van. And I think Miss Van has probably, I'm sure she's tried to get along with the woman, but
Oh no,
she,
you can't. I think she knows. The reason why is I heard allegedly from Aunt Ann today that her, Wanda, and Pookie have been in relations.
oh.
So there might be a reason why Wanda is as demonic as she is recently.
But Pookie is not Bernard. That's somebody else.
Mark Scott.
Oh yeah, the basement. Oh, Wanda and Mark
Yep,
allegedly.
yep,
Oh,
allegedly.
wow.
So think about it. He's crazy. He's putting his energy into you,
Yeah.
transference. Because Wanda's not even thinking. She's talking wild. You get what I mean? She's not even
Mhm.
thinking her own daughter might lose a spot on this show, as well as Marcel. She's not thinking.
Yeah.
And that would make sense if she's messing with him. Because
Oh
he's
yeah.
wild. He don't care.
He's out there. I feel like I think Miss Van just got had. I'm sure that he hid the crazy. And she probably just was excited to kind of date a guy and get to know someone. And by the time she realized he was crazy, she had probably spent some time with him. Because that's like not normal for someone to get that upset because they're not claiming you on a TV show. You don't know
Yeah.
if she's just being private, but for you to act a type of way
But see,
because
Martel, I think Martel wants to do that. It's all to attack Melody and Vanessa as well. Remember how he's attacking Marcus? He's
Mhm.
mad that she left him. So all these people, including Wanda, Letitia, Marceau, Maurice, all the other people are specifically for an agenda. The problem is when you're dealing with somebody like Martel who's mentally unstable, he doesn't know how far it goes. Like they attack your kids. You know what I mean? It's not
Mhm.
you can't get into deals with gutter rats and gutter snipes because they'll turn on you.
Exactly. They thought that they would be embarrassing Miss Van and her mom and Melody. Melody is very good at saying, "Well, that has nothing to do with me," because her
It
mom is an
doesn't.
adult. She can date whomever she wants.
And if I were her, I would deny I ever slept with them, even if it didn't happen. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're
Exactly.
talking about. Because most people like Vanessa and older people, even if you're dating, you don't reveal what you do intimately in the bedroom with people.
No,
That's
not
not
at
what you talk
all.
about,
Yeah.
And if it was horrible, you definitely aren't talking about it.
Exactly right. And I'm guessing she had that revelation like this Negro is crazy.
Yeah,
So
and
she
she
didn't
helped him. Like they helped Marceau and Letitia, with
yeah.
Schultz. So they're empaths. They like to give and help people. But yeah, Mark's got, and from what I heard, Martel told him that she didn't want to. He told her to stay away from Mark because he liked guys. That's what she thought. He liked guys.
Oh wow. Now, I heard that allegedly when he was in the military, he did experience some abuse, unfortunately. Like, and
Uh-huh.
if that's true, I'm like, well, no wonder that he is off his rocker.
Yeah, but I think he's been off his rocker because allegedly his mother put him in foster system.
Oh,
He, the two brothers, the Scotts, are the only ones that have been with their mother being raised. The other children were not.
oh no,
So
that's
they got some
really,
mommy issues, kind of like how I think that's why Carlos, I call him Queen, likes Marceau so much because he's got the same mommy issues as well.
oh, okay. That is really sad.
Yeah.
So the Scott family, like a family member, got him out of foster care, or was he raised the entire time by various foster parents?
I think he was raised by various foster parents. Only those two brothers that are on the show were the ones that were raised with the mother.
That is really sad.
And like I said, it's kind of the same thing we were talking about, the Oedipus complex situation with adulthood. The abandonment issues might be why their family's so dysfunctional. But think about it. Why did Martel feel so comfortable being around these type of people?
It made him feel comfortable. They weren't anything intimidating.
Yeah, like
If
Melody's intimidating to him. He had to
exactly,
bring her down to his level
to
where
his
he's in the
level.
mud and the gutter at.
Exactly. Wow. Well, we will have another episode just tomorrow night, and I will certainly recap the episode sometime on Sunday. I'll recap it. I thank you so much for joining me tonight, Anonymous. You were
Thank
like,
you. It's your first time doing your
yes,
show?
yes, I've
All
done
right.
like, I'll do like my recap videos, and then this is probably one of the longest lives that I've had, thanks to you. So I enjoyed your conversation so much.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I hopefully will get, I know this show is a microcosm of society, but I want, I really want Martel to get the help he needs so he can be a better father and co-parent. But the question
Absolutely.
is, will he want to do it? And that's the fear I have. He's not being objective with himself to understand he needs help. And the people he has surrounded himself with seem to
Won't
enable him more than just really hold his feet to the fire. So,
Yes, they for sure enable him. I want to see people grow and get better also. It doesn't really enhance my life by seeing him torture his ex-wife, on social media a few months ago. That was awful. Yeah, it
yeah.
was something that, all the bloggers could report on. My channel is tiny right now and I reported on it too, but still I would rather he be able to co-parent. I know that it's a tough pill for him to swallow that his
Yeah.
wife has left him, but he'll just have to accept that he totally screwed that marriage up, and then hopefully he can get himself together.
Yeah. Or go to the peasant. That's what he wants.
Oh my gosh, I don't think he wants her. He just wants, I think they'll always mess around physically,
Uh-huh.
but he doesn't want her.
Well, he's never going to get someone like Melody again. That's what's sad.
Yeah.
Because people that like or support Melody know when you mess with a queen like this and you treat her that dirty,
How would
they're
you
still going back. They're
Yeah,
smarter than this.
exactly. Well, I hope everyone has an awesome weekend, and I hope that you all come back on Sunday when I recap the episode. And Anonymous, thank you again. You are awesome. I appreciate your perspective.
Appreciate you too. I think we had a chance to help your cloud grow and get some articles to help people. So it was a nice recap just to see that Melody held her ground with them girdles.
Yes, she sure did, because Marceau was on her. Well, I hope that you all have a great night. Please do me a favor and hit the like button. It will cause YouTube to recommend this video to more people. And if you have not already done so, please subscribe. And you all have a great night. Bye-bye.
Have a good evening.
You too.